thank you for being here today. I know that Leslie Ann knows that you're here, and she's so blessed by your presence. I want to thank everyone on behalf of Leslie Ann and Cobus for the meals that you provided, and most of all the prayers and love that you provided through all these months and years, actually, of her health struggles. I'm going to just tell you a little bit about how I knew Leslie Ann. Of course, you're from the church when she first came, and we bonded as well over some of the things that have already been mentioned. She certainly was a woman of grace and love and beauty, inside and out, and a very gentle and caring soul. We first bonded probably over her dog Tofu, who was her first fisherman, and we had a little white dog, and the two of them would get together and play quite well together. So we actually left our Taffy with their Tofu to play while we went on vacation. And that worked really well one time. The second time we tried that, they got into a little sibling rivalry because they were both used to being spoiled, lonely dogs in our households. And so that didn't last very long. But it was so gracious and kind of Leslie and Cobus to take our little dog into their home. And you know, that wasn't where it stopped, because several years later, when my son was old enough to graduate from college and pursue ministry, he had finished his master's and was starting an internship in the Los Angeles area. Cobus and Leslie Ann graciously opened their Pasadena home to Ben and Michelle, and they had no children at the time. And they stayed in their home there for several weeks while they interned at the Foothill Community Church down there in Azusa. And it was just another expression of the gracious hospitality and generous spirit of both Leslie Ann and Cobus to do such a kind and caring thing. Now, I'll let you in on a little secret if you promise not to let it leave the room. We know that Caden, our first grandson, was conceived sometime that summer. Now, I'm not going to tell you where or when that happened, but quite possibly Leslie Ann and Cobus's generosity in their home had something to do with that. Enough said on that topic. Another way that Leslie Ann and I bonded was over tea, and we both were such oh goodness, crazy over Downton Abbey and all things British and tea. And there were several friends that shared that same love with Leslie Ann, Kay Howell and Sharon Wilcox, and several of us would gather sometimes for tea. And Sharon, the last time I gathered with Leslie Ann for tea, put on a tea that was fit for royalty, with royal china, and treated Leslie Ann in such a royal way, just as she was so deserving of. And she so enjoyed being at the table with some of her friends from South Africa. Helen was there, Gretchen was there, several were there, as well as some church friends. And we will always cherish that memory last July when she joined us for the last time around a tea table that Sharon had so lovingly provided. Another way we bonded was over travel, and we were privileged to be on that little expedition to Alaska that Astrid and Phil put together for our group. And we wondered, could Leslie Ann really do this trip? It seemed like a big undertaking, but we learned never to underestimate Leslie Ann. And once she made up her mind to do something, she willed herself to do it, and she enjoyed it. She went to Vancouver, and she and Cobus boarded the ship with us, and I think the highlight of her trip, if I were to guess, was not the tea that Leslie Ann and Cobus and I shared, because we decided the ship really didn't do a very adequate job on that. She could have done better. But what we do think was the highlight was when she visited the little puppies that were training to be sled dogs. Oh my goodness, she just loved those puppies and got to hold them as soon as she got off the bus. So Leslie Ann's heart was huge, not only for people and for family and friends and her church, but also for the pets and the animals in her life. And Helen, I know she loves it that you have Marsh and you're taking such good care of him. So we will always remember Leslie Ann and her grace and her gentle spirit and her loving heart, and we know that nothing separates us from the love of God, and that we will see her again in heaven. when I lost my parents about 3 years ago, one morning, as I was standing there in worship and we were singing worship choruses to the Lord, I was struck with how that's exactly what we're going to be doing in heaven. So if we want to prepare for what we'll be doing when we get there, we will be worshiping God, and that's what Leslie Ann's already doing. She's going to have a Christmas celebration that tops all of our wildest dreams. And so when we get there, we will be in worship with her as well.
I was thinking if I wait for a while, everybody will have said everything and I won't have to go out. In this journey of life, we are gifted with friendships. And there are those people that are just genuine friends. Not every friend rejoices with you when you're celebrating events in life. She celebrated whatever you were celebrating. And you truly knew how happy she was for you. And yet, even though she went through so many challenges these past 10 years, along with COVID, if you were struggling, she struggled with you greatly. She was always there, and that's a good friend. We most often communicated by email, and later when Facebook came out, Facebook became a wonderful tool to stay in touch. And I often thought how Facebook has allowed people when you are homesick and just not able to get up and get around, you can still be in touch in a wonderful way. And I went over some of my emails, and I just want to share just a few of the things she said over the last years in her emails that really touched my life. She would also share how she was truly feeling. Sometimes you ask a person, how are you? It's always fine. But she would let you know how you could best pray for her because of what she was going through. These are some of her thoughts on emails. She said, in time, we may have to adjust our focus and come to accept that his time for me is different to what we are praying for. So many crossroads, unsettling, as I had always known the road I was going down. It's a real spiritual lesson for me to understand and to keep my heart and mind focused on the eternal life that awaits us all. After her 56th birthday little tea party, she emailed me and she said, I found the most loving Christian friends here at FMC, and today was an affirmation of his blessing in our lives. Wish the party could have been bigger, but our house is only so small. So big, I should say. She said, I do not fear death. The fearful things are the medical issues. Living with pain and seeing how horrible loved ones, especially COVID, are affected by the situation. That's what's hard. And one day she just said, struggling with fatigue, I am so weary, please pray. When we were planning the trip for Alaska, it was actually less that got us going on this. Several years before we said, well, one day we should travel to Alaska, and then, you just kind of talk and think about it, but it never happens. And one day she goes, whatever happened to those plans for Alaska? So we got things in gear, and several people got to go, and she said, going to Alaska is going to be the best medicine in the world. Counting the days. The cruise is a great distraction, she said, but I need more quiet time than usual. After the cruise, we had a little potluck at our house, and she was always so gracious afterwards, and she sent out a little email with a thank you to everybody, commenting on their dishes. And she said, Carol, your chicken looked so gourmet. And I know if we, her and Clovis, ate chicken, we would have loved it. That's just how gracious she was. But not chicken. She still had to say something nice to her. She was an amazing friend. And when I told you how she would be happy for you, even if that was a hard thing for her, Tammy, our daughter, often also uses Facebook, and she read Tammy's email. She said, Tammy's just such a wonderful mom. I love experiencing momhood through Tammy. And when I think Colleen said she had friends that were young, friends that were old, and she could enjoy every stage of life with that person. And she will be dearly missed. We will be together again.